It's 5 o'clock. We're 10 seconds late.
Yes, we are. We're
Are
going
we live?
We are live.
Yay! All right. I wish the two video streams look the same. I am much brighter on your screen than I am in the preview that I always adjust it to. Very bright.
You are pretty bright.
Yeah, I hesitate to change anything though, Steve. Mimo's so delicate right now. For all I know, changing my lighting would change my would break Mimo.
It could.
All right. Let's see. It's time to take some roll call. We have Steve and Sandy and Kevin. We have the wing woman and the wingman in place. Oh, Kevin, you need to post. Who sent that picture of the wingman on Twitter?
Was that Rick?
You should post that. Was it? Oh, it was Rick. All right. Let's see. We've got Brett and Dave. George may be here. George Connett. John and Rose and Rick. Wait. Yep, Dave's there. All right, let me do a quick little audio check here. Make sure you guys can hear me recording. There we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. And here comes playback. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. All right, could you guys hear playback?
Yep.
Not you.
Well, I hear what they
Unless
hear.
you're listening inside Discord. Nope, they did not hear it, Steve.
Oh, in Discord? Oh.
No, they did not. Why would that be? Okay, hang on. I know why. I know why. I'm on it. I can do it. I can do it. Here it is. This is why. All right. See, this is why you're not supposed to answer the question, Steve.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Now you'll hear it. Wait, how did Dave hear it?
He was
okay, but in
YouTube.
Discord.
We're talking about Discord.
So YouTube's. Yeah. Okay, here you go. Now you should hear it in Discord. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Okay, there we go. I had the wrong input.
All right.
So many places to do the inputs. So many switches.
Many inputs.
Should have a diagram. I actually don't have a current diagram going.
Amazing.
All right. All right. Well, I think I have to do a lot of talking this week, so I think we should probably start. Oh, let me put the music in
gear.
What do you mean kick it in gear? What, am I going too slow for you there, dear?
Well, you got a lot to do.
I do. I juggle a few balls here. That's for darn sure. All right. Muting Steve. Here we go. Oh, wait. No, I have to tell you what beer I'm drinking. I am drinking a beer that you probably haven't even ever seen before. Ballast Point just came out with a 99 calorie lager. So they are taking on things like Michelob Ultra pretty much owns the market for 99 calorie beer. Huh? 99 calories.
Kind of a strange move for a craft brewery.
Yeah, but why not take it?
Yeah.
A beer for me.
A beer for the masses.
I keep telling Lindsay, I always want to call it a 99-cent beer. No, 99 calories, even better. All right. Yeah, it's hard to find. They literally started coming off the line. When was it, Steve? Last week?
Yeah.
I think so.
Maybe 2 weeks ago.
All right. Now that I've announced my beer, make sure you tell Lindsay, it has a lot more taste than Michelob Ultra. I mean, it's no high hoppy beer. But that's not what I like. I like lagers. Okay, muting Steve. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 10th, 2019, and this is show number 722. What Chit Chat Across the Pond this week was another installment of Programming by Stealth. We learned about the library called Mustache, which is just fun to say, and that allows us to create templates and have them automatically filled in. But it also allows us to do conditional statements. It's really, really cool stuff. This was a little more of a struggle for me at the beginning, but Bart brought it home in the end, and I think I've got it. We'll find out when I try to do my homework. Anyway, you can listen to this episode of Programming by Stealth in your podcatcher of choice, either under Chit Chat Across the Pond or under Programming by Stealth. And of course, you can always listen over at podfeet.com. That is all we have on the intro.
Chapter mark.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to take Kevin's job?
No, I got the cue from Kevin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good because I'm not always watching
Right.
the whole thing. Let's see. OWC Thunderbolt 3 doc. URL title is this. Whoops.
Spoiler alert.
What?
You're giving away your next topic.
Oh, that is a big spoiler. But it's not a spoiler because you don't know what I think of it yet.
True.
Okay.
As just a tease.
Yeah. All right. There we go. So we're here. All right. Oh, I got to open it, don't I? That one. Oops. All right. Here we go. Back. Muting Steve. Every once in a while, I find myself descending into madness when I work on a review. Remember when I got curious about exactly what the government regulations were about banks and using SMS for two-factor authentication? That was our fun trip into NIST Special Publication 800-63B. Well, this time I'm trying not to go down as far, but it's a challenge. The subject is Thunderbolt 3 docs. I'm on my fourth one now, and I think the more I look at them, the more details I notice, which causes me to do more research, which causes me to want to share what I learned with you. Before I dig in, I wanted to let you know that I've included a comparison of the 4 docs I'm talking about with everything from ports to speed to cost to size. I've also got links to all of the docs so you can see more about them. Okay, with that groundwork laid, we can get started. You may remember that I reviewed the Belkin Thunderbolt 3 dock in January of last year under the headline Thunderbolt Docks. Just because you can plug it in doesn't mean it will work. That was the beginning of my adventure. I liked the Belkin Thunderbolt 3 dock, but at the time, I didn't realize that there were much better docks available or have become available since then. I received the XL Thunderbolt 3 dock as a review unit, and I told you about it in an article entitled XL Thunderbolt 3 dock, More Ports for Less Money. Where the Belkin has 9 ports, the XL had 11. It's not just counting total ports that matters, though. I like the XL because it had 5 USB-A ports, where the Belkin only had 3. My opinion on dock comparisons was nearly entirely determined by how many USB-A devices I needed to plug in. One thing, amongst many, that I didn't understand was the importance of power delivery of a dock. I did not notice that the XL only provides 70 watts of power over Thunderbolt 3, while the Belkin provides 85 watts, which is enough to power a 15-inch MacBook Pro. Now, you can charge a 15-inch at 70 watts, but it takes longer. There's more I didn't understand, but we're going to keep moving and circle back to what I didn't understand. The next dock I tested was the CalDigit TS3 Plus, and I fell in love with this dock. I called my review, CalDigit TS3 Plus, Thunderbolt 3 dock, more ports, more money, more better. This little powerhouse has 15 total ports, 5 of which are USB-A, and it has 4 USB-C, where the previous docks only had 2 USB ports. As time has passed since the first dock review, I've gained more USB-C devices, so having 4 is a big advantage. It also does provide the full 85 watts of power delivery. Now, the form factor of the Belkin and XL docks was a long, flat box with most of the ports on the back. Belkin and XL docks are 8 and 9 inches wide, respectively, and 3.5 inches deep, so they take up a lot of space on the desk. On the front, the Belkin only has 1 USB-A port and the headphone jack, while the XL has no ports on the front at all, and instead has 2 USB-A ports and the headphone jack on the side. Now, in both docks, you pretty much have to lift it up and yank it around to get to any of the ports on the back, which of course is hard because you've got all the equipment that's connected to those lines kind of lifting up as you're trying to look at the back of the dock. Now, in contrast, the CalDigit is nearly the same volume as the other 2 docks, But instead of being a long flat box, it stands on edge and only takes up 1.6 inches by 4 inches of desk space. That alone makes me love the CalDigit a lot. But it also has USB-A, USB-C, headphone jack, and an SD card slot all on the front. With this much on the front, I can keep the permanent things plugged into the back that I don't need to mess around with, things like my camera and microphone, but then I can keep some temporary cables around for on the fly connectivity to the dock on the front. That works really, 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 really well for me. But all of this didn't keep me from having a wandering eye towards the OWC 14 port Thunderbolt 3 dock that CEO Larry O'Connor told us about at CES. I asked him for a review unit and it arrived a few weeks ago, but I've just now gotten the time to check it out. The OWC dock is a long, flat box like the first two I'd tested, at 9 inches wide and 3.5 inches deep and an inch tall. Like the label on the tin, it has 14 ports, 5 of which are USB A and 4 of which are USB C. So that's great. Now remember, the letters mean shape, not speed or even protocol. Of the 4 USB C ports on the OWC dock, 2 are USB only, and the other 2 are Thunderbolt 3, which means they can deliver just about anything. Thunderbolt 3 can be video, it can be audio, it can be data, it can be Ethernet. Just pick whatever you want. Now, it was in studying the specs of the OWC dock that I really started to learn more about the ports than I dug into before. I built a table in numbers trying to compare the 4 docks, and it started to get very complicated. Each of the docks I tested had silkscreen information on each port, trying to indicate the type of port it was and what it was for. For example, on the OWC dock, there's a USB-C port on the back that has a lightning bolt and a little icon of a computer. The lightning bolt indicates that it's Thunderbolt, which is kind of funny. Lightning and thunder, I guess, go together, and you can't draw a picture of thunder. So anyway, it's got the lightning bolt that designates that's Thunderbolt. And then the icon of the computer tells you this is the port for power delivery. So this is where you want to plug in your computer so it charges. But this is also the port through which all of the signals will go to the other ports on the dock. It's very important that you plug into the right port using a Thunderbolt cable, and we'll get more into cables later. Some of the docks had USB-A ports with a little SS next to them. Some said 5 gigabits per second next to the USB-A ports. The XL dock had 2 USB-A ports with SS next to the USB symbol, and then a 10. So, okay. Well, the OWC dock says USB 3.1 Gen 1 next to the USB-A ports on the back and the front, but one of the USB-C ports says USB 3.1 Gen 2, and the CalDigit has both Gen 1 and Gen 2 USB-C ports. So what is going on here? What is SS? Why do some SS ports say 10 next to them? What's USB 3.1, Gen 1 versus Gen 2? How can we make a comparison of all of this with all these different terms? Well, I'm going to try desperately to untangle this. Then I'm going to tangle it all back up when I'm done. I'm also going to blame the people who have written the USB-C spec because they clearly think that obfuscating information will make their job secure. I remember actually firing someone for that one time. But anyway, so USB 3 is a hot mess, as you've just heard. At the severe risk of oversimplifying things, I'm going to give you some synonyms to work with. USB 3.1 Gen 1 is capable of transferring data at 5 gigabits per second. Okay, USB 3.1 Gen 1, 5 gigabits per second. While USB 3.1 Gen 2 is capable of 10 gigabits per second. Okay, so Gen 1 is 5 gigabits, Gen 2 is 10 gigabits. All right, SS stands for super speed, and super speed is the same as Gen 1, is the same as 5 gigabits per second. Now, none of the docks I've tested showed it, but you might also see SS Plus. That actually means Gen 2 or 10 gigabits per second. Okay, are you with me so far? All right, we got the groundwork laid. We're good. Now let's get lost again. We have enough information to really compare the docks now, but just to make sure you leave unhappy and confused like I am, let's change all of this. Turns out the evil people at the USB promoter group have renamed things, ostensibly for clarity. That's funny right there. The new spec is called USB 3.2. Our old friend SuperSpeed, capable of 5 gigabits per second, previously known as USB 3.1 Gen 1, is now called USB 3.2 Gen 1 by 1, like 1x1. I swear, I am not making this up. When Stephen Getz explained all this to me, I told him I was going to kill myself. But let's keep going because it gets worse. So USB 3.1 Gen 1 is now USB 3.2 Gen 1 by 1. Now, 10 gigabits per second, formerly known as USB 3.1 Gen 2, is now called USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 1. Super helpful, right? And finally, we have USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, which is now 20 gigabits per second. So the good news is at least we got some speed improvements with the new spec. So we have 5 gigabits per second, 10 gigabits per second, and now 20 gigabits per second. Now I put a table from Wikipedia and a link to the explanation in the show notes so you can see what I'm talking about in all its glory. Now, as I told you, as I said, I told you this part of the story is just to make sure you're as annoyed as I am. Guess what else? This week, it was announced that USB 4 is coming. It's probably going to be finalized before the end of the year, and it's going to bring us 40 gigabits per second. It turns out I really don't care about the speed. I really, truly don't. I just want them to simplify this naming convention, and then I will be happy. So I've had 4 docks in the last year or so. None of them have used this nonsense USB 3.2 spec conversation. So we're going to go back to simpler times. We're just going to talk about 5 versus 10 gigabits per second. No SS, no gen this, gen that nonsense. We're just going to talk 5 gigabits per second, 10 gigabits per second. So now we can talk about the OWC dock. That's what this was supposed to be a review of, right? So let's get back to it. Okay. The OWC dock has quite a few ports on the front, which is awesome. Remember, I told you I like having stuff on the front so I can get in and out of that stuff more easily. It not only has the beloved SD card slot that I got with the CalDigit, it's even got a micro SD card slot, which is great for people with GoPros and other action cameras. I don't think it's essential though, because I think most people use those little carriers for micro SD cards, which are full size SD cards, because the micro SD cards are pretty easy to lose. But it's a nice touch that you do have that on the OWC dock. The OWC dock also has a combined headphone microphone jack on the front, which means you can plug in a headset mic and annoy your friends while gaming or participate in conference calls. There's a 5 gigabit per second USB port on the front, which also says high powered. The graphic from the OWC website shows a phone and a tablet charging from it. So even though I wasn't able to find this in any of the information on OWC site, I assume that's at 1.5 amp port. So that's pretty cool. There's also a 10 gigabit per second USB port on the front, USB A port. So you can charge a device, plug in an SD card, use a headset, all on the front of the device. And these are the perfect ports to put on the front. I think OWC really thought this out well. Like I said, I think it's important to have the right ports on the front. On the back, the OWC dock has 4 5 gigabit per second USB A ports, one of which is also high power. You'll just have to memorize that it's the one on the end because, like all of the docks except for the CalDigit, it's really hard to pick these docks up and see what's on the back when you have everything plugged in. The OWC dock also has a digital audio out like some of the other docks. There are 2 USB-C/Thunderbolt ports, both with a lightning symbol, but one has that little computer symbol too, so you know where to plug in the computer. It has a mini DisplayPort connector that can support a 5K monitor at 60 hertz, and of course, the Thunderbolt 3 port can also support a 4 or 5K monitor. I have the 5K LG monitor plugged into the Thunderbolt 3 port on the OWC, and it works great. Now, one of the joys of Thunderbolt is that you can daisy chain devices. So, since my LG display is a Thunderbolt display, it's got Thunderbolt ports on it. It also serves as a Thunderbolt hub to more devices. Now, I know you're tired of the discussion of speeds, but we're going to bring this up yet again. Thunderbolt 2 can deliver 20 gigabits per second, while Thunderbolt 3 can deliver 40 gigabits per second. But get this, if you have a Thunderbolt 3 port in a device, but you use a Thunderbolt 2 cable, you're only going to get the 20 gigabits per second of Thunderbolt 2. So cables matter. Now, the reason I was compelled to learn about this was that the OWC dock comes with a ludicrously short Thunderbolt cable, and I wondered why. The Belkin came with a 1 meter cable, the CalDigit with a shorter 0.7 meter cable, but the OWC is the shortest at a half a meter. Because the cable is so darn short, I have to put the dock on the right-hand side of my monitor just to get it close enough to barely reach my MacBook Pro. It's so much in the way that I had to stack my microphone's USB interface and my drink coaster on top of it. And I don't like the dock to be on the right-hand side because when I plug my headphones into the front, the cable drags across my trackpad and causes trackpad inputs. I hate having it on the right. It's one of the things I like about having a longer cable. Get it over on the left. So I'm wondering, why did they put such a short cable in there? Why not just give you a long enough cable? So I started looking into the prices on Thunderbolt 3 cables, and it turns out they're really expensive. Even if you shop at Monoprice, which is where the cheapest cables are least expensive, I should say, a 1 meter Thunderbolt 3 cable is $47. That same length in Thunderbolt 2 is only 20 bucks. So from what I've seen, this is another important thing. When you get these cables, make sure you mark them, because only CalDigit put a 3 on the Thunderbolt cable so you know which ones not to loan out. When I was talking to Stephen Getz about this, he tried to help me understand whether we actually care about these speeds. USB at 5 and 10 gigabits per second, Thunderbolt at 20 and 40 gigabits per second. Who actually needs those speeds? Well, he knows that I bought the Samsung T5 SSD as a backup drive a while ago, so he used that as the baseline to make the case. The T5 is a very fast SSD, clocking in at 540 megabytes per second transfer rate. Now, to compare that to the USB and Thunderbolt speeds we're talking about, we need to change those bytes into bits. We're going to do a little math here. Sorry, David Roth, we're going to do math. I should have put that in the heading. He says I always have to warn him. So there's 8 bits in a byte. So a 540 megabyte per second drive is 540 times 8, or 4,320 megabits per second, also known as 4.3 gigabits per second. So my SSD, which is super fast, has a transfer rate of 4.3 gigabits per second. So that means after all this talking and yapping about specs and speeds, even the slowest 5 gigabit per second USB 3.1 Gen 1 ports are faster than this wicked fast SSD. What this tells me is that the speeds of Thunderbolt 3 are really for people pushing lots more data than even a geek like me. Real-time video recording comes to mind, or maybe writing to 2 SSDs or more at the same time. Those are the people that need these massive speeds. What matters to me, and what I suspect probably matters to most of you high-end nerds, is a lot of ports. Now, soon you're going to care deeply about having a lot of USB-C ports, but for now, I bet most of you care about a lot of USB-A ports most of the time. The bottom line is, of the 4 docks I've tested and analyzed, the Belkin dock is the one I would absolutely avoid. It has the fewest ports at only 9, and it was the most expensive and is still the most expensive, coming in at $350. The XL dock with 11 ports is on sale right now, running only $210 on Amazon, if you simply check the little box for the $40 off coupon, that is. Now, if you need a lot of ports and you want the right ports on the front and you don't mind the big flat form factor, OWC's 14-port Thunderbolt 3 dock for $300 on Amazon is a great option. Now, if you can live with the paltry 20 gigabits per second speed of Thunderbolt 2, I would totally buy a longer cable to give you more flexibility on where it sits on your desk. The OWC 14-port Thunderbolt 3 dock will actually be perfect for Steve, and that'll replace the Belkin Thunderbolt 3 dock he's been using. Not enough ports. So I'm still going to stick with the CalDigit for me, though, with the most ports, including one more USB-C port than any of the others, plus having the right ports on the front for me. That makes a big difference. But one of the biggest things is having that tiny little footprint on my desk. So the CalDigit TS3 Plus is $300, $310 on Amazon, and that one is the winner for me.
Ooh, that was a long one. So a couple things. Lindsay's here, and she brought the beers.
Lindsay.
She brought the beers because she's late.
Okay, good. I showed off the 99 calorie beer. We discussed it. Oh, that Lucky Charm beer.
That 99-cent beer?
The 99-cent beer. 99 calories. This episode of the NosillaCast is brought to you by Ballast Point beer.
By generic beer. No, not generic beer.
No, Ballast Point, dedicated to the craft.
Okay, so there was a question that I thought you might be able to weigh in on, Al, and it was, I think, from Brett. And
115 messages. Wow, it got hopping.
Yeah, it was. So Brett wanted to know if you could take, is there an app where you can take an existing audio file, feed it into the app, and have it transcribe it to text? Not live audio, but an audio file.
Yeah. Not really. I have tried to do that. I tried to build that in Audio Hijack, because Audio Hijack you could have the an application play. So like, let's say you open the audio file in QuickTime, and you could squirt the audio out to the to a virtual microphone.
Sounds
and then
messy.
you could have that microphone be the input to the dictation software on the Mac. And it worked. So it could go to the dictation software. So let's say you bring up, Apple Notes or whatever, and you tell it, okay, take this as the input to dictation. And so you choose that. And it worked, but it was very weird. It would record like a paragraph. It would be typing it perfectly. I could see it real time typing it. And then all of a sudden, everything in the dictation would erase. And I was never able to figure out why. So I could get it to intermittently work. And I even tried to tickle the Rogue Amoeba people, saying, look, you guys could figure this out. You guys should make this go. And never got anything. So there are websites that will, some tools online that'll transcribe. They're still not great, unfortunately. So
how about Dragon Dictate?
Dragon Dictate has been discontinued for the Mac.
Oh, it has. Okay.
Could it have
Dragon done that
anymore?
Or is it only real time?
I don't know how you still have to input the audio to the dictation software, right?
Right, but so you can't play a file, so to speak. You can't feed it a file. You'd
still have to use something like Audio Hijack to send it to to the microphone, essentially.
Or it seems just how about just playing it on your
Ava? And
that's what
you can download this. Log it. Rick C is saying Ava.
That's what he
is that. Is that a website, Rick? It's an app. If you can give us a link to that, I'd like to test it. 'Cause I've tried to crack the code on this.
But I think Rick said that was only real time. It didn't do existing audio files.
Right, but you could trick that by
playing the audio file
by playing the audio real time with Audio Hijack.
Or anything. I mean, you don't even have to do audio.
No, not anything. You have to.
Oh, because the input, audio it has to take system input.
Yeah. All right. We have the dulcet tones of Alistair Jenks to look forward to.
Oh, I haven't heard from Alistair in a long time.
I know, and he made 4 recordings for me.
All tonight?
So excited. No, I'm going to do them one at a time and savor them.
Savor Alistair and his dulcet tones.
Yeah. All right. Well, the most awesome Alistair Jenks has recorded several reviews for us that I'm going to be playing over the next few weeks. Let's listen to the dulcet tones of Alistair. Okie dokie. You can talk again, Steve. I will be playing.
Good task.
All right. Yeah.
Good task 3.
Yeah, I've been experimenting with this. This looks pretty cool. That I'm going to be playing over the next few weeks. Let's listen to the dulcet tones of Alistair.
When it comes to task management apps on Apple platforms, there has long been a gold standard in the Omni Group's OmniFocus. I've been invested in OmniFocus for over 3 years now and admire the fit and polish of the product. But I'm at a point in my life where its complexity is now overkill and, well, I'm falling out of love with it. The few uses I have for Siri is setting reminders, as I often think of things I need to add to my list when it's not terribly convenient to stop, open an app, tap around, and type out the reminder. As of iOS 11, it has been possible to direct Siri to add a reminder directly to OmniFocus, or rather, theoretically possible. In my experience, Siri tends to cut me off before I add in OmniFocus to the end of my sentence, and I'm myself off because it's just not a natural thing to say. It has been so frustrating that I simply stopped doing it, or on the few occasions I decided to use Siri, I just let the reminder go into the default Reminders app. Last November, my eye was caught by a headline on MacStories.net. Reminder and good task.
All right. I'm not going to let you listen to all of this.
You're going to rob us of his dulcet tones?
Yep. So, we could give Lindsay audio access and let Forbes talk to us at some point. All right, here we go. Let me finish this up here.
App. It is also easily personalized and has a clean design language. I find it a pleasure to use.
I was really excited by Alistair's review because I've been looking for a better to-do list. I love Wunderlist, but it's been deprecated by Microsoft, and I fear that at any time it's just going to disappear. I've been trying to use reminders more, and while it's limited, I, like Alistair, love to use Siri to add things to my lists. With the watch integration, it's not at all uncommon for me to lift my wrist while running on the beach and say, "Hey, yes, lady, remind me to tell Steve this funny thing when I get home." Reminders works okay for me, but it's so limited, and it looks like Good Task might be giving me some of the enhancements that I need. I was running the free 14-day trial for Mac when I thought to check Setapp, and sure enough, it's available there. Finally, a great app that I don't already own that's in Setapp. I love the Setapp service because it's got all this great stuff, but it's all this great stuff that I already bought. So if you haven't already bought all your cool software, go get a Setapp subscription. But anyway, I'm excited to give this a try, and I'm doing the free trial on the phone and the iPad too. So anyway, I'm going to give it a try. All right. We are about to go down another rat hole here.
Oh, this is the AIM hole?
Yeah. AIM hole. That sounded wrong. Yeah, I'll call it that. No, I'll call it web accessibility. This is going to be more than you ever wanted to know about this topic.
Oh, did you, Kevin's reminding about chapter mark?
Chapter marks? So, I am on it right this minute.
Ah, TJ made it.
TJ. Hey, TJ, you going to be at MacSoc this year? Show is taking an ugly turn. Hopefully. Yay. I love how fast people can answer in Discord. Like Rick answers before I'm done with my sentence asking him something. I didn't see Rick. Did you answer me? Are you a Good Task user? Yes. Oh, you're going to regret telling me that.
Because you have questions.
Yeah, I'm just confused by some things. I can't seem to get my calendar events out of my way. Because it'll show you calendar events and your tasks, but it shows me like all these calendar events, and I can't get to the stuff I really want to see.
No, okay. TJ can't do the beers. He'll have to do a root beer.
There you go. That's the way to go. Okay.
So that's not letting you off the hook, Linz.
Yeah, nice try. You can bring us root beer, though. In fact, I want a root beer float. Zoe came earlier, by the way, and she left us some bacon.
A whole side.
I think she's in England, so she can't actually come to the show very often. I thought it would work but I think she wanted, or she knew we were on daylight saving time or off of it or whatever. Spring forward, fall back. Anyway, never mind. All right, I gotta do this. This is gonna be a long one. Sit back and enjoy. Oh, that is where I wanted to be. Never mind. I was doing it right, and then I thought I was doing it wrong. Okay. I pride myself on paying attention to accessibility as, part of the natural fabric of my podcast and my blog. What is that saying taken from Proverbs? Pride goeth before a fall. Yeah, I've fallen big time on this one. I'm a fanatic about making sure I have alt tags on my images. Alt tags are text that web developers enter on images so that screen readers can tell the viewer what they're quote unquote looking at. And Programming by Stealth Bart has been doing an amazing job of making sure that the code we write meets the accessibility standards too. But as with most things, there's always a lot more we can learn. This week, someone tweeted out the latest Web AIM Million report. Web AIM stands for Web Accessibility in Mind. These folks do a report that evaluates the top 1 million homepages for accessibility. Now, the purpose of this is not to shame websites or developers, but rather to find trends in what can be done to improve accessibility. Like, Where are the failures? What are people doing wrong that they could improve on? A report like this sounds super dull, but I found it fascinating. It's written extremely well and it's very accessible to the layperson. They methodically go through how they pick the sites, why they look only at home pages. Spoiler, it's because home pages are the most accessed and receive the most attention from developers, and research indicates a correlation between issues discovered there and other site pages. When you get past all the methodology paragraphs, you'll find a single, easy to read graph that shows the top 6 most common failures according to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is always shortened to WCAG2. Anyway, WCAG2, these tests find that 97.8% of home pages had WCAG2 failures. But let's take a look and see how hard these things would be to fix. The top 6 in order are low contrast text, missing alt tags for images, empty links, missing form input labels, missing document language, and empty buttons. So I was curious how my own website would stack up. My first assumption was that the only thing I might have to look at would be whether my text is high contrast enough. I had often wondered about contrast, but I didn't know how to measure it or what it was supposed to be. I mean, how contrasty is contrasty enough? Luckily, the WebAM Million report had a link to their own article explaining low contrast text with reference to the WCAG documentation. There was a lot of information on that page, but the most useful section explained that the minimum contrast ratio is 4.5 to 1, and that large text needs to be at 3 to 1. Okay, great. I've got it. 4.5 to 1. So, how do I know whether the text on my homepage meets that 4.5 to 1 minimum? It's almost like the WebAM folks knew that would be my next question because they included a link to the Wave Accessibility Evaluation tool. This tool analyzes any web page for accessibility and then provides specific information on failures. There's 2 ways to use this tool. You can put the page in question into the website at wave.webaim.org, or you can download an extension for Firefox or Chrome to give you the same information. If you've got a lot of sites and pages to analyze and repair, that extension would be super useful. But if you just want to look at 1 or 2, the website gives you the same exact information. So I plopped in the homepage for podfeed.com at the wave.webaim.org website. When the page comes up in Wave, there's a left side panel now that shows a summary of how well the page meets the WCAG2 guidelines. I was surprised to find a fair number of errors at podfeed.com. But that's good news. I was finding out about it, right? That's not bad news. I mean, what fun would this be if I went, yeah, I'm perfect? Anyway, in the screenshot I supplied in the show notes, it shows that I have 5 errors. This summary level explains that there are 3 more tabs to dig down into in the Wave tool, the first of which is Details. Clicking on Details shows that I didn't really have 5 errors. There's currently 22 errors in contrast alone, at least as of the time of the screenshot. The good news is that the 22 errors are designated right on the page with a little red icon. It shows an ABC with descending contrast. So I can look right at the page and I can see the offending text. The link titles under the images on the homepage were failing the contrast test. They were a pretty dark red, but apparently not dark enough. And by the way, it matters what the background is too. So they were dark red on white, but not dark enough. In my red on white link titles, it said the contrast was 4.91 to 1. Well, that's technically slightly above the guideline of 4.5 to 1, although just barely. But it also showed AA and AAA below the contrast ratio, where AA said pass in green and AAA said fail in red. At first, I assumed the AAA meant large text. Then I found another section in the tab there that shows large text, and it said pass at both double and AAA. So now I got to figure out, what do AA and AAA mean? When I clicked on the little red symbol next to one of my links, it offered to give me more information about that. And that took me to a listing of the section in the WCAG2 spec that talked about AA and AAA. That's where I got completely lost. I kept digging and going deeper and deeper into these specs. I ended up at WCAG2 section 1.4.6, contrast enhanced, which explains for AAA enhanced, the contrast ratio minimum is 3 to 1. But there's no explanation of what AA and AAA means. I started wondering, could this be something like a AAA rating on a hotel is better than a AA rating? I sent out a tweet asking that question with the hashtag A11Y. That means accessibility ally. It's a great way to tag things when you have questions because a lot of people who are into accessibility can answer you because they're following that hashtag. I got an answer back from a gentleman named Peter Gruxa, who is a lovely Canadian with a focus on accessibility. His answer was, quote, "It doesn't relate to text size. WCAG uses individual success criteria as a means to test for levels of conformance. These levels are broken down into A, AA, and AAA. In order to meet conformance for a level, all checks for it and lower levels must pass. A is the starting point." Great. Well, I decided to set AAA as my stretch goal and to fix the bigger errors of AA first. It seems like, well, you're not going to get your AAA rating until you get your AA rating done. When I looked at the Wave Tool results, I found that the text of my menus across the top, where it says, about, subscribe to the podcast, all that stuff, that was too low of a contrast to even meet AA rating of 4.5 to 1. Okay, so great. We know I'm failing. How do we figure out how to fix this? Well, below the contrast areas, there was a contrast tool. You can type in the hex code for the foreground and background color, and it will calculate the contrast ratio for you. Okay, that's piece one. We need to know how to calculate it. But how do I know what hex code to put in there to check? Turns out there's a lot of tools available to do this. Basically, just type color picker into your search engine of choice, and you'll find one. I chose to use a plugin for Firefox and Chrome called ColorZilla from colorzilla.com. By the way, I know there used to be a color picker on the Mac. I can't find it anymore. There is a color picker, but it doesn't give you hex codes. It gives you like RGB and stuff. Anyway, so I chose ColorZilla as a plugin. Now on my website, I can tap on the ColorZilla icon and find out the actual color of my fonts. Yeah, I know, Helma. I could just look at my CSS, but at this point I was too lazy for that. But I'll come back to it, Helma. I will, I promise. So color pickers like ColorZilla will spit out several different ways of defining the color. But again, hex codes are the easiest to work with, and that's what I need in the Wave tool. So hex codes are 6 characters long, and you'll see a hashtag in front of it. So for example, pure white is represented by FFFFFF. So from ColorZilla, I can determine the hex code of this text that's got the problem. But that's the text that's not high enough contrast. How do I find something like it that's of higher contrast? I don't want to change my whole color scheme. I want to say, okay, like this, but higher contrast. Now we need a tool where we can plug in the hex code and figure out how to make the contrast higher. This part is even more fun. I found a site called HTML Color Codes that works great. You enter a hex code and it shows you the color you've entered. It also gives you sliders for opacity and hue, saturation, and light. But the coolest thing is you can ask it, simply lighten or darken this color by a specific percentage. So let's say I want my red, which is A94346, to be 10% darker. This tool at HTML Color Codes spits out 902A2D. Well, to save time inching up on which one's the highest contrast, this tool gives you 20, 30, 40, 50, and 70% darker or lighter as shades and tints from which you can choose. It's perfect. So now I'm armed with the right code to get it darker. I can finally go into my style sheet as Helma wanted me to do way back at the beginning and figure out which font to change to the new and improved contrast color. Okay, you think by this time I'd been exhausted, but I was having a blast. Look at how much I'm learning. This is awesome. Plus, I've only told you about the problems with contrast. The Wave tool also found a few more things wrong. This is where it gets really embarrassing. Well, no, this one isn't as embarrassing. The tool showed me what it called long alt text as a failure. So remember, alt text is what gets read out by screen readers when you're on an image. On podfeed.com's homepage, I have little images for each of the types of tutorials I've created. The last tutorial section's alt tag said, 2 little cartoon kids holding hands, wearing backpacks, and carrying pencils, one of my favorite images. Apparently that was too long, but I thought it was fun. Fine, I shortened it. I always thought longer was better, but I guess not. Maybe you don't want to hear me blathering on. I don't know. I like to throw in little Easter eggs like that once in a while for the screen readers. Okay, but the really embarrassing thing the Wave tool discovered was that in building my homepage, I had used the wrong widget from my theme vendor's layout builder tools for one row of image icons. The rows for listen to the podcast, tutorials, and join the conversation were all done with one type of widget, and that was fine. But I used a different widget for the support the show row of icons. So you know the one where it shows you to pledge support via Patreon, shop via Amazon, donate via PayPal, or record your own review? Well, the widget I chose simply does not have the option to enter an alt tag for those images. So I never even noticed that I'd missed it. How embarrassing is that? Remember, I started out at the beginning? Pride goeth before a fall. Yeah, that's where I really failed. So I dusted off my muscles on how those widgets work, and I got that fixed. So now there are alt tags on there, so you can go push that Patreon button because now you can actually see it. Well, I also need to fix the contrast on the date, the author of the blog post, and my asides are a bit low on contrast as well. And there's a pesky missing form input label, apparently. I got to go track that down. That's going to be fun to go hunting for those too. I know you think it's weird that I'm calling this whole thing fun, but it really was fun. I got to learn more about what's important in accessibility. I got to run new tools. I got to make podfeed.com a better place for everyone. I'm really glad I read the Web AI a Million report. I wouldn't have learned so much and been able to improve my site for all of you. Whew. All right.
Woo!
That was deep. Dig
Yeah.
deep.
Let's see. A lot has happened, but there was something I thought we wanted to
82
ask
messages. Man, you guys really don't listen to me,
you.
do you?
What was it that we wanted to ask you? Oh, do you have a discount code for MacStock?
I should. Does someone need it?
Well, TJ was just asking, but Frank points out that the early bird special is still on. So it's probably, my guess is that the discount code wouldn't be any better than the early bird special.
I could check on that. Yeah, so I found out I'm supposed to use that discount code. I think I had one before and I never gave it to anybody. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right. I know. I will add it to good task.
Yeah. Oh, there was. Oh, you did miss a little wing off between Sandy and Kevin.
And Sandy was defending me.
Yeah, there was a little back and forth, shall we say? Wing war. Right,
what did Kevin do? Wing war. Wings of war.
I called it a wing off.
Hey, so anybody here remember Wings of War? Did you guys ever listen to that or watch it? I'm sorry,
documentary. PBS?
Yeah, it was on Nat Geo, I think. Anybody remember that show? Because there's an important tidbit if you don't know. So what was it? Get MacStock discount. Nope, nobody ever saw that. Oh well. Well, the narrator of that was a listener to the NosillaCast, Ron David.
Yeah, the man with two.
If you've been listening
names.
a long time, you already knew that. But if not, hi, Brett.
Yeah, that goes back. That goes. In fact, didn't you play one of his recordings?
I played an interview that he did. Yeah.
Right.
With a wing walker, woman who actually knew Amelia Earhart.
And he was the guy that narrated your dad's letter.
He narrated my dad's letter. Yeah. Sorry, I talked over that. My dad's letter from World War II is what Steve was saying when I was like, yay. All right. Okay. I'm going to do a quick little recording here. Well, it's not holiday buying season anymore, but it is the season to buy things for yourself. Did you know that if you use the Amazon affiliate links in the show notes to products I talk about, all the geeky stuff you want to buy anyway, if you go and use those links, a small percentage of what you buy goes to fund the podcast. Remember all of those docs I just talked about? Every one of them is linked in the show notes to their Amazon pages. Even if you don't buy a doc, if you follow those links and then, I don't know, you go buy birdseed right after clicking the link, it still goes to help the show. I sincerely appreciate all of you who do your shopping through these links because it makes a huge difference to me. Okay, Steve can talk. Because now we are going to bring in the Security Bits music. Do you know how bad...
have you been marking your chapters, Savin?
I have.
Good.
There aren't very many.
Frank wants to know if he can get a Tesla through Amazon.
Sure. That would be awesome.
I think it's just the Model 3 at this point.
Can you buy it through Amazon?
I don't think so.
No, you probably can.
No, Tesla's pretty particular. They don't go through any dealers, so I don't think they would go through a third party.
Oh, maybe not. That would be a nice little 3%.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
All
Free
right.
delivery,
so now,
right? Amazon Prime, 2 days or less.
2-day shipping. I keep wanting to go test drive the Model 3, but I'm afraid to.
Because you think you'll buy it?
Yeah, I've heard it's an amazing car. So, and I like to drive fast. I'm thinking I want a little tiny car. I was looking at, what was that, BMW i3?
i3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They're cute.
I don't want a BMW, but I was just thinking little cars looks fun. No. That's not what I said to do. Okay, I want to take that and that, and I want to slide you. I don't want to move. All right, so let's see. That's Bart on me. That's me on Bart. I'll let you guys hear it. Ready? Blink.
I love that.
One of these days I should leave it in.
Why
Should
don't
that be
you?
today?
Yeah. Do it this time.
Do you guys want me to?
Yes.
It'll make Bart laugh.
That's his audio cue for.
Yeah, that's how he tells
recording.
me that he's pressed the big red record button. I'm not sure. We'll have to think how to blend this. Let me listen.
I want to see.
It's
I want
huge.
to.
What do you want to see?
I'm gonna go full screen on your
Okay.
Blink.
Okay, so you can't see my cursor. Let's see if I drag across it. It's right there on the second blue track. It's that little tiny piece. So now I've got to figure out where to line it up. Yeah, it's just a little vertical line. Okay, let me play through these links because it makes a huge difference to me. Blink. Well, it's at. So I think I need to.
Definitely.
Do you dare me to do it?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see.
I think Bart would appreciate that.
I don't know.
Well, you giving away a trade secret?
Yeah. I mean, you sure you don't want to just have it be for you guys? Nope. The audience wants it. Blink.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I need to. I'm trying to use this tool the way I do it in ScreenFlow, and that does not work. Okay. That one. Split. Get rid of that. Split. But I got to split this one. I'm going to tell them you guys made me do it.
That's fair.
Okay.
Oh,
so
you're going to
give what it's going to sound like.
Not as much.
Nope. Blink. Well, it's that time of the week. It's a little too long, don't you think?
Well, yeah. I would bring it in, both things.
Bring it over. Yeah.
Both tracks, yeah.
Blink.
There. That's good.
Blink. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for us.
That's perfect.
Is it too long of a gap?
No.
Blink. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time.
That's good. Leave it like
I gotta confess to him. I gotta tell him that I did it. I'll just tell him.
Of course.
You're gonna hear something in the show, and
that you've never heard before in the recorded.
No, I'm just gonna tell Bart this. Okay, what's happening? Okay. No. I think I'm using the wrong keystroke. No, I'm just gonna tell Bart that Steve made me do it.
No. It was the entire chat room, not just me.
Was it?
Come on, chat room.
All right.
Back me up here.
Okay. Oh, this doesn't look lined up right. Thunderbolt cables into your machine that you don't know what
Basically, pretend your Mac is like an iPhone and has no ports anymore. I think that's the best way to go. Just don't plug it in. It'll be grand. Just don't plug anything in.
Yeah, if you don't even turn it on, that's
very secure,
too, right?
Yeah. Wrap it in concrete and throw it in the bottom of the river. Totally safe.
All right, Bart. I think I'm going to cut you off.
Until next time, stay patched and stay secure.
I think I cut that off. Yeah, cut that off a little far close. That also looks like we got a lot of drift. I'm not happy with that. What are you typing about, Steve?
Nothing.
So I think in my cutting,
Go back to the beginning and see how it lines up.
Yeah. Gruesome security bits this week, huh?
Yeah, it was totally safe.
All right, Bart. I think I'm going to cut you off.
Okie dokie. Until.
Okay.
So might want to check the front end. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's like I've done this before.
You have.
Right. I know. Okay, let's see.
Oh, good. We get to hear it again.
Okay, so hang on. Let me do this. So all those need to slide over a little bit. Well, it's that time of... Nope.
No. So now you got a harder problem.
I just...
Spit.
Blink.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Busschots. How you doing today this week, Bart?
I am doing fine. I'm mildly cranky that the Irish weather gods have decided that winter was insufficient and we should have take 2 of winter.
Have a little more. Okay. Yeah, I think that works. Okay.
Better. Yeah.
I'm still going to make it all your fault in the end.
Thanks.
You can't control my mail. Okay, so it's time to run out the clock here. 4:57. Hurry.
5.
Last plane out of Vietnam. What'd I say?
4.
Oh.
We moved them forward an hour.
No, I'm just not good at reading because right there it says 5:57. There it says 5:57. There it says 5:57.
Your Mac is not wrong, I'm sure.
So I chit chat across the pond. I said it was episode 72. It was really 73. I wrote the title as 583, but it's really 585. But I had it right, and it's hard. All right, muting Steve.
Here.
Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. How do you do that? Send them to me at allison@podfeet.com. I've got a good dumb question in a long time. Send me a question you think everybody knows the answer to, but you. Nah, I guarantee you somebody else has that same question. I don't mean like ask me really hard questions. I mean, you can if you want to, but just send me the easy ones. Those are always fun. You can also follow me on Twitter at Podfeet. Now, if you're looking for anything to do with podfeet.com, all you got to remember is it's podfeet.com/whatever it is you want. You want to become a patron. You want to join Patreon. How do you do that? podfeet.com/Patreon. If you want to join our Facebook group, podfeet.com/Facebook. You don't like Facebook, you want to go for Slack. We are having so much fun over in the Slack group, especially the Programming by Stealth channel in there. Man, that one's on fire. People are posting stuff about security in the Security Bits channel. It's a blast. How do you find the Slack group? podfeet.com/Slack. You want to join the chat in the live chat room during the live show? podfeet.com/chat. You want to just find some Amazon affiliate links? podfeet.com/Amazon. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Whew. Boom.
And that's a wrap.
Done. That is a wrap. Throw some outro music on there. Spend a bunch of time fooling around with the end. That probably doesn't matter at all. It's a warp.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter markers. I don't think there's chapter markers. I probably should save though.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up. Pull this down for no reason. and slide all this stuff out. I hate doing this. It's a waste of time. I don't like it. Oh, can I not do that? Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z. All these people are influencing me. You notice how much my language has changed? I just said Command Z without thinking about it.
Ah.
And I refer to companies as plural sometimes.
You're getting,
stay subscribed. Nope. What?
You're going European on us?
And sometimes, you know, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm. Can't be helped.
Now I'm drinking red wine. Marianne taught me. A mess. Stay subscribed. There it is. Now we are wrapped and we can export.
And it is 6:01. Just 1 minute late.
I'm 1 minute late. It's a sad thing. All right, everybody. I think this was a lot of fun. I can't wait until Bart hears the blink. Actually, should I warn him? Maybe I won't warn him.
No, I want to see how long it takes for him to notice. Also, it will tell you whether he listens to the show.
Oh no, he does. He always listens.
He does. Okay.
I don't know if he listens to all the security bits, but he definitely listens. So, it'll definitely be a treat for him. A little Easter egg there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I got to kiss Rose goodbye. Did Rose? Rose is still there.
She is.
All right. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. We should be back at we should be at home. We'll have just gone to the CSUN Assistive Tech Conference, so that should be fun.
Probably have an interview or two.
Might.
Maybe.
See, back to interviews. I don't have to do any work.
Right.
I like interview season.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys. Cut us
Bye-bye.
off, Steve.